today we are looking at Victoria Caldwell, and it looks like she's from Paducah. I don't know who she is, but I know a cool quilt when I see it. And this was one of those weird setups. So the quilt is over here that we're talking about. This one here is awesome too, but this is the one that we're focusing on, is this teal quilt. Um, today's this quilt is awesome because it appears simple in theory. It's a woven quilt. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it is not one of the most, over designed quilts. And this channel is here to inspire you and encourage you and all the things. This quilt is more difficult than it looks, but it's simple. It's not overdone. It's not heavy. It is just striking. It's beautiful. It caught my eye. When I look at this color story, it reminds me of a couple of Disney characters that I absolutely love. One would be Sully from Monsters. The other one would be Crackle from Sophia the First, which is like my all-time favorite dragon ever. I should pop in pictures of Sully and Crackle, and I think I will. But it's a nice color story. So let's look at the color story. Let's start there. We have this light color here, and then it goes out to a little bit of a darker shade and a darker shade and a darker shade, and then down here we get a little bit darker. So we've got an ombre. It's not used exactly just fading out, but it's used intentionally. You can see that right here, this is in this block, which is in this block, which is in this block, which is in this block. And you might think that this quilt is easy to construct, but it's not. We'll get into that in a second. Let's just keep looking at the colors. So we have a gradient color story in the blues. Um, I guess we could call it like teals. And then we have this pop of color that is the perfect accent to these teals. If you are questioning that color choice, look at Disney. I know people get tired of me talking about Disney, 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 but if you want to see how color is used super effectively, look at Disney colors, especially in the newer cartoons and stuff. They are amazing with the color choices and why. So I think this color choice totally works. Let's look at the construction of it because it blew my mind. Because when I first looked at it, I thought, well, that's a simple quilt, you know? Uh, but is it though? So it's called woven, and one of the things that we try to avoid as quilters, of course, are Y seams and having to sew one way and then stop and add it. And so when the judges looked at this, they knew what it really took to make this quilt. They understood. They they got it. So here we have this block inside, which I'm gonna call like her base block. And okay, I can do this block. That's not where we're getting super tricky. Where we're getting super tricky is when I need to join this block with these blocks and we're looking for the straight seams. And it looks like no matter how we swing it, we're going to have to try to figure out how to put this in this, in this, in this. And I think the only way to get there that I can see is to do a partial seam. So she might sew down here and stop a quarter inch of away and then put this one in, or maybe these two were joined prior, but then you got to add this guy over here. And so when you try to follow the magic here, I just can't see how she did this without Y seams. And Y seams is an elevated method of putting stuff together. You run into them a lot with diagonals and whatnot, but here it's just a simple woven, but it's definitely not your typical just sew stuff together and it's nice and fast. This took a ton of effort, and we can see here that this is a totally original. So this is her original design. So she not only was worried about making these come together, which is amazing and very, very, very well thought out, but she had to figure out how to make the whole quilt come together. And I talked about the color, and how did I miss the black? It gives you the stained glass window. The anytime you put black with something, I tell you, it really just punches it up a notch and makes it even more striking. And so kudos to Victoria on this quilt because the thought is simple. It's like, okay, we'll do a weave. We see basket weaves. We see people do basket weaves when they are doodling and whatnot. A basket weave is something that we see a lot, but I haven't seen it done like this, and I don't know I just can't imagine what she was thinking when she sat down. She was like, you know what? I want to do something simple, but I want to see if I can make it into a quilt. And then she came up with this. The illusion of it is excellent. When you're standing away from it, it really looks like these are under or over these. I mean, it totally works. Now let's look at the quilting. She kept the quilting simple because it's really not about that. It's about this color placement and this black and this pops of color. So in there, in the quilting, we have it going some diagonal lines. And she's not stopping the line when she hits the black. She's actually curving it around. So it curves, it snakes through. So we don't have a hard stop here. And we just take it this direction. And then here we're taking it this direction. And in between, I'm not quite sure what it looks like. There might be an S, like a squiggle here, which follows with the rounded curved element right here. And then in these purple pockets, in the squares right here, we just have a swirl. So again, the quilting is, I mean, I can't do it, but it's not overly done. It wasn't like she tried to go in and put a bunch of feathers and all that. No, it's just simple. And the judges understood, they understood what was going on here. And they put it in the show. And I'm so glad that they did because it's striking. It has a simple design, but the technique is what really elevates it for me. And the color story is just so well thought out. You can see how it just gradiates from being lighter here and it pushes out to being darker. I wonder how many actual colors of blue were used here. I'm thinking about 5 different colors. And of course, I love this because this teal was one of the colors that was in my wedding. So I guess I just love teal. But you guys, this is absolutely gorgeous. This is how it looked in the what am I doing? In when it was, when you're just walking down, and it was something to see. I enjoyed seeing this quilt. It stopped me in my tracks, probably due to the color story and these pops of color. I just love a simple ombre with the black or a different color. It's just, I don't know. It's just beautiful. So you guys know what to do. Let's jump in the comment section and love on Victoria Caldwell. Tell me what you think. Tell me about the construction. Tell me about the quilting. Tell me about the colors. Tell me all the things. And I will check back with you guys on the next one.